Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk about a subject that I kind of went down a rabbit hole on a couple weeks ago, and that's personal branding. So you're probably already aware of personal branding, but it's essentially an entire industry that revolves around how individuals can present themselves in a professional or business context. That got me thinking about whether or not personal branding is beneficial for students or for youth, especially as you're going through, college and university or post-grad as well. When you're thinking about your career moving forward, is it going to be beneficial for you as a student to be thinking about your professional branding and to essentially spend time working on that? That led me to watch a number of different videos on personal branding on all different kinds of theories and perspectives and opinions. Now, first, I want to set the kind of background on personal branding from my perspective. Now, really, personal branding is an industry. So it is a place where people make services and actually make money out of personal branding and sell those products or sell that services to potential clients. Now, what that means is that personal branding, because it's an industry, there is going to be a number of players involved that are really trying to push the envelope and try to expand the field. Along with that, that naturally leads to industry professionals in personal branding trying to differentiate themselves from others. That's a whole thing in business, is differentiation or positioning, however you want to call it. But basically, they're trying to separate themselves from the pack to make themselves more attractive to potential clients. Now, that's good, and I think it's important to push a field that you're in. However, because it's an industry and that's happening, naturally there are going to be a lot of different ideas and opinions and perspectives on personal branding that are being put out there because, like I said, the industry professionals want to differentiate their services. What that essentially leads to is a lot of information that is helpful if you are a client in different scenarios, but aren't going to be directly relevant to students like yourselves as you're navigating this part of your life, quote unquote, the career side of your life or the professional side. Now, on the flip side, I think studying personal branding or exploring personal branding can be beneficial for students because it's going to be one of your first introductions to career development in general. And naturally, when you enter a field that you're completely new in, you are going to pick some things up that are going to be helpful for you. That's good. However, like I mentioned before, I went down a rabbit hole of personal branding, and it's very easy, especially with social media and how it works, to go on a rabbit hole yourself and start thinking of all these things that you're going to want to add to your life that aren't really going to give you the most bang for your buck, if we want to use that term. We have these two different sides, personal branding being an industry that essentially introduces a number of different ideas and a lot of new ideas that may not be as relevant to you. But on the flip side, just working on personal branding in general, you can see some progress there and see some positive impact in your life when it comes to that side of things, the career side of things. So essentially, my answer to the question is whether or not students need personal branding is both yes and no, which I know is a cop-out answer, and you probably hear those kind of answers all the time. But really, my perspective on this is how do you balance the benefits of personal branding without spending all the time exploring personal branding, especially because most of that isn't relevant to you. And I think after looking at all the different aspects of personal branding, there are really three main things that are going to be beneficial for you as students to be thinking about. And the first one is define skill sets. The second one is define subject matter. And then the third one is define work style. Now, define skill set is basically how it sounds. It's defining what you're good at. So the kind of skills that you can typically lean on. Now, you've heard about the whole soft skills, hard skills things probably. If not, let me know and I'll make another video on that. But basically, it's a list of things that you're good at doing. So maybe you're good at data analytics and you can manage Excel and Power BI. Maybe you're a really good public speaker, or you're a really good speechwriter, or an engineer on a specific subject. Those are defined skill sets. So those are things that you can reliably do on a regular basis. And those play a pretty big role in your career path moving forward, especially right out of university or college or post-grad, because if you're applying to jobs, you're essentially showing the employer, here's what I can do for you. Here are the things that you need for this certain position, and here's how I can do them. That's kind of basically how interviews go, although there's an entire other layer of interviewing that we can get into, but that's kind of the SparkNotes version of it. So that's the first thing, is define skill set. The second one is define subject matter, which is basically what you're knowledgeable in, and that's a good chunk of your studies. So you're exploring certain fields or a certain field, and you're essentially aiming to become very knowledgeable in that area. And that can carry a lot of weight when you do go into your post-grad career path, whatever it is, because you're essentially going into those different fields and saying, I have a background in this. I understand the kind of field of terrain of this area, so I can succeed in it when I start this job. Now, most of your studies are going to solve that anyways, because you're probably declaring a major or maybe a double major or a major and a minor or 2 areas of specialization. Whatever your educational kind of framework is, you are essentially developing an understanding of that field. So that's your defined subject matter. And the third one is defined work style, and that's something that kind of goes on in the background, but that's really important for you to be thinking about long term in your career, which is basically, where do I thrive best? Are you somebody that works really well independently and likes those jobs or roles where you get your time to yourself to essentially just work on your tasks? Are you more of a team player and you really like collaborating and working with people on a regular basis and interacting with people on a regular basis? That's me. I really do enjoy working with people, more of a team setting. And then from there, we can get into a whole discussion on other styles. Remote, hybrid, in office, working hours that spread out throughout the day. Maybe you enjoy working in the evening versus working in the mornings. Maybe you are just going to have to deal with a 9 to 5. There's a whole different set of options there. But that's really what it boils down to, is those defined skills, defined subject matter, and defined work style. Now, I'm sure some of you are watching this and thinking to yourselves, Andrew, you skipped over an entire set of experiences that are really important to address when it comes to your professional image, your resume, your LinkedIn maybe, your interview style or the best practices for interviewing, and then networking. I agree with you completely, but I would say those are a little bit more well known when it comes to thinking about your professional image. So I wanted to talk about things that are pretty prevalent in personal branding, but aren't exactly discussed at the same level as those other things like resume writing and networking and interviewing. So that's basically it. To summarize, I think it can benefit students to look at personal branding, but I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Really thinking about how you are defining your skills, defining your subject matter, and then thinking about how you work best or what environments you work best in. And then, like I mentioned before, obviously thinking about your resume, your interview style, and then your networking approach. So yeah, I think it's a very interesting discussion to have, and I'm really interested to hear from you. So if you have different opinions, I would love for you to leave a comment and we can discuss, and I'll get back to you at a certain point whenever I see the comments. And of course, it goes without saying, I think everybody watching this has probably seen comment sections on social media, so love to hear disagreements, love to have a healthy debate, just be respectful. I think we need more of that these days. Okay, that's it for me. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.